Good evening. It is Sunday, the 23rd of February, 2020, and you are watching American Hammers TV, part of the American Hammers Network. You're watching our weekend review show, as we always do, on Sunday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. I have with me tonight Liam in Fresno. Yes?
Yes, sir.
David, my neighbor, 30 miles south in Boston, for the Boston Hammers.
Hello.
And Wally, who usually hangs out in Philadelphia, but was very wisely this week, this month even, very wisely chosen to go to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. So, the rum that you smell is coming off of him. That's
a lot of
the
drinking today at parade.
The gumbo, the gumbo and the beignets and all that. I love New Orleans. Oh man, I really love New Orleans. Anyway, that's coming off real. So let's do our commercial bits first. Check out our website, AmericanHammers.net. Check out what our friend Alex in Mississippi has done for us. Well, he's not too far from New Orleans. He should just stop over and see you, Wally, while you're there.
Where is he? Yeah.
It's not far away. Mississippi's not far away. It's next state over. Anyway, check out AmericanHammers.net for all of our fantastic merchandise. I just found a thing I'm going to buy for the boys. I just looked on it the other day, and there is a T-shirt with a Minecraft West Ham guy. So my boys are very big.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so I'm going to get that for them, and probably a couple of things for myself, and do a little load here. So that'll be good. And our scarves are out there as well, and I hope nobody's bought a scarf lately because I haven't checked the PayPal account in like a month. If you have, I'll check it tomorrow. Okay, we'll give you a scarf. So don't worry, we got good-looking scarves, proper Clareton blue. If you want to come on the show, if you want to be a guest on the show, if you're anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter where you are. If we can coordinate a time to get you on the show, please come on the show. If you want to co-host a show, we're happy to have you do that too. All these people you see, Wally, David, Liam, all these people came in as guests, and now they're co-hosts. They're with us all the time. So if you want to do that, let us know. Get to us through social media or get to us through our website. Or if you just want to come on and be a guest and talk about why you love West Ham and how you have been surviving this season so far, go for it. And there's there's Gabe for the first time in quite a while.
Yay, Gabe!
How you doing, my friend? It's good to see you. Good to see you. We got Tebow here. As always. We got Neil. We got all our friends. So, anyway, so we're in the middle of sort of West Ham Hell Week here. We had Manchester City on Wednesday, Liverpool tomorrow. So I guess let's just start with Liverpool, if you guys don't mind, since we all know what happened against City. The results this weekend were actually not that bad for us. I think Brighton picked up a point against Sheffield United, kind of, unexpectedly. Other than that, everybody lost and kind of got tonked. Like Villa lost 3-0. I think Bournemouth lost 3-0. I think Norwich, they're probably down anyway, but they lost. Watford lost 3-0. It was a really
Watford lost 3-0.
Yeah, Watford lost 3-0. It was a good weekend for us for once. Better because we didn't play. So I'll throw it out to you guys. You saw what Moyes did against Man City. He said, let's keep the score down, basically. And I guess we did. So everybody sort of jumped on him and said, well, you can't do that. You should really not play 8 at the back. Maybe give us a chance to win because we need 3 points. Given what we saw this weekend, given the way the results went, does it change your mind at all? And is there any – would you justify at this point David Moyes coming out again against Liverpool and saying, let's just keep the goal differential down and we'll go for it against Southampton and beyond? Liam, let's start with you. What do you think?
No, I mean, it's at this point we're kind of at that stage where we need to pick up points. It can't just be, like you said, 8 behind the ball and hoping to edge out. Not even a win. Like he's not even trying to go for a draw at this point. He's literally just trying to go for damage control. Yeah. And when you look at a team like Man City, they were absolutely beatable. Like you've seen other teams. Like wasn't it Norwich that nicked points from them like just recently? Like
Norwich beat them. I think Norwich.
Yeah. Ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like you've seen other teams because they go at it with this mentality of like we've got nothing left to lose. Like we're in 20th place. Like what else are we really gonna do? Like at that point you have to go for it. And you had the people. He absolutely set this team up to fail. And I understand in the name of damage control, but I mean we saw how that hasn't worked in the past. We saw that it didn't really work against Liverpool. Like his idea of damage control still had us walk away beat 2-0.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it wasn't enough to dump us into the bottom, but it was still enough to put us in the relegation zone. And, the game against Man City was much of the same. And unfortunately, I anticipate a lot of that against Liverpool as well. He'll probably rest players that he thinks will be viable against was it Southampton the week after? So, I mean, I guarantee you he's looking at those last couple matches as winnable games. But, I mean, we needed to be picking up points yesterday. So I don't know.
And you know what? I forgot to mention briefly, and I should always mention this. We already have a win over Liverpool. If you guys were paying attention, we beat Liverpool today already. Our women's team won 4-2.
It's true. They did.
They were up 4-0 as a matter of fact, and they hung on. They won 4-2. It's a good win for them. They really struggled in the start to the new year in 2020. So a very solid win for them. Alicia Lehman. Did Alicia have 2 goals?
She had an assist and a goal, I think, because she had the one where she drove between the center backs, pulled it out to the right hand side, and then crossed it, and it was a beautiful tap in.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna look it up because I don't want to get it wrong. I want to give. No, it was Adriana Leon. Sorry, it was Adriana Leon had a brace.
2 goals to Leon.
Yeah. Leon and Martha Thomas had a brace too, and the ladies played really, really well. And we're proud of them. No matter what, they always show guts, and I love that team. So Allie will have her take later this week with Reese on the ladies and girls in Claret and Blue show. Anyway, back to Liverpool tomorrow, the other Liverpool match. What do you think, David? You heard Liam's take. What do you think? Damage control or go for it?
Yeah, I'm actually in the damage control camp, which sounds counterintuitive, but if you just look at the statistics, Liverpool 1 draw all season. 10 of the last 11 games, I forget if it's at home or just general, they've kept a clean sheet. And I just looked at the goal differential, and West Ham is -15, Watford is -19, Villa is -18, and Bournemouth is -17. So we're very close to them. So we want to, we're ahead of them. So we want to keep that close.
Bournemouth have 4 points on us, don't they? Or no, that's Brighton. I'm sorry.
Brighton does.
Yeah. Let me check it again.
No, my fault. It's
I think
they're only 2 points ahead of us.
Right.
Yeah. They're only 2 points ahead.
Yeah, the Bees. Used to be Blackburn and
You're going back to like Blackpool. Come on, man. Come on.
That's okay, but no matter what lineup we played, I don't mean to be negative. I couldn't see us beating Liverpool. So I think what we have to do is we have to build a lineup that can gradually be cohesive. And as we go into the end of the season against the weaker opponents, hit our stride. I think we can tinker a little bit with Liverpool and maybe change what we did last week at Man City, but I don't think we want to go for it. You know what I mean? I don't even think we have the personnel to do that. I think Felipe Anderson isn't match fit, so you can't start him. He's just coming back from injury. He can come off the bench. I think Gerard Bowen, I don't think he should start. I think he could come off the bench too. So I think we should probably, instead of 3 at the back and have the midfield, 5 at the midfield and try to get really defensive, I think it would be fine to have 4 at the back. So, we could go Ngakia, Diop, Ogbonna, Cresswell, Noble, Rice, Soucek, Antonio, hopefully Fornals, although he'll probably play Lanzini, and then Haller, and then try to build on that. And then next week, put Anderson in the place of Fornals or Lanzini. But yeah, I don't think we want to go for it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, I we'll get back to that because I may be swinging in your direction after this weekend. Wally, waking up from your haze of hurricanes in Etouffee, what's your take on tomorrow?
I have to agree. I think it's going to be very defensive. It's Moyes after all. He loves to play defensive. It's Liverpool, and they, like David said, they've only dropped 2 points all season, which is extraordinary. So I don't think we're going to pick up any points. So I think we're damage control on the goal differential. That's the best we can do, I'm afraid. Plus Fredericks is out, so we're really hurting.
It's funny. So. We sat here Wednesday night we had our show on Wednesday night. It was Thursday night actually this week. Thursday night we did it, and I said, if we set up for damage control, we give ourselves 0 chance to win and a minimal chance of drawing. If we set up, to play attacking football, or at least play a 4-4-2, right? We don't have to. I'm not talking about, a massive attack, but if you play 4-4-2, for instance, you give yourself maybe a 5% chance of winning instead of 0. However, then this weekend happened, and my heart tells me, Liam, that you're right. That I want to see us go for it. That we need 3 points. That we should treat this as a Premier League match. That we're a Premier League club. That we can go out and beat these guys, that they are not, that they've gotten lucky a few times over the course of the season with VAR and a couple of other calls. That's what my heart tells me. My head tells me, though, I don't know. I'm starting to rethink everything. After we saw Watford give up 3, Bournemouth give up 3, Villa give up a very generous second to Southampton in injury time, maybe really should just try to give up like 2 goals, 1 goal, and get out of there, I'm starting to think that way too, and I hate to see Bowen not get a start. I hate to see us not use Antonio the way we should, but I don't know. I'm starting to come around to the whole Moyes idea of like, let's just keep it under control.
But I think Ken brings up a good point. We've got 35-year-old Zabaleta till the end of the season. So that literally every single team is going to know to attack on our right-hand side because they're going to just try to overload the channel and completely burn out Zabaleta. Like tactically, yeah, he's great, but he does not have the pace. And unfortunately, whether you put Balbuena or you put Diop next to him, I don't think either one of them have had a hallmark banner season, if you will. So I think that we're absolutely vulnerable from that side. And at that point, regardless of if you put Souček on there, if you put Snodgrass on that right-hand side, you're going to pin them back too, which means then at that point, Snodgrass is not going to be able to deliver balls in the box because he's going to be pulled back defensively. You're going to be pulling Rice out of position because he's going to have to support on that same right side. I mean, I love the idea of Nakia being trotted out again like he did the last time against Liverpool, but I fear that with this idea of going defensively minded, that he is going to go with experience. He is going to go with Zabaleta, and yet again, we'll get picked apart in the middle because there will be cross after cross coming from that side.
I'm glad you brought that up, Liam, because Moyes actually said, I read somewhere on Twitter earlier today, he's going with Zabaleta. That Zabaleta's our right back. So,
age before beauty, I guess.
Well, I mean, Moyes likes experienced players. Those managers, as they get older, they trust players, and they don't trust young players. They trust experienced players. But I listen, I mean, Ken's idea that I scrolled off the board here, but what about pulling a Slav and putting Antonio at right back, or having him sit back to kind of help out, like in a 5 at the back scenario? I don't know.
I mean, if we're not going to go for it, you know what I mean? Like if Moyes plays the way we're kind of all assuming he will, yeah, probably, because you're gonna defang your attack anyways, because they're all going to be pinned back. So you might as well put Antonio. At least he'll battle. At least he'll fight in that position.
Like wing back, right? I mean, kind of what they did with Masuaku, but on the other side.
But then do you play Bowen up top with Allaire, or do you still just leave a lone striker and just have everybody kind of sit back?
I mean, we're not going to listen. The question is, well, actually, you know what? That's what. Why don't I pass this to David or Wally? David, why don't you?
I was just recalling that the Antonio at right back experiment with Slaven Bilic. Antonio really didn't like that. That was kind of like one of the fault lines of the Slaven Bilic era that Antonio did not enjoy being in that position.
One time, though. I mean, could he do it one time? Could he do 90 minutes one time? And then
I think that's a good point. I think he'd be fine doing it one time.
Can he do 90 minutes?
That's another question altogether. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're asking him to run a lot at wing back. We know he's going to put in the effort. I don't know, Wally. What do you think about our right back situation in general? I really don't want to see Zabaleta back there, but it seems that that's where Moyes is going. What would you do if you were a Scotsman running West Ham at the moment?
Well, Yeah, clearly, I think Moyes is going to go with Zabaleta because he likes the older guy experience and everything. Now, my question is Masuaku, I didn't see the Man City game, but did he have a really bad game?
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
so they would probably.
Yeah, he hasn't had a good game all season, or at least not for months. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if they would play wingbacks because if he doesn't want to use Masuaku, then he likes to have Cresswell as the third center back. So playing Cresswell at left back, and then I guess Zabaleta at right back. So I think that's what we'll see at four in the back.
Would you put 5 at the back?
Yeah.
What would you do if it were up to you?
Against Liverpool, yeah, I think I would pick 5 at the back, but I'm grasping at who would play the left wing back.
Yeah, I know. Well,
yeah, you're right.
So
left wing back if Cresswell's in the center.
Yeah, Masuaku really hasn't looked good there. He's given up a lot of the goals actually that I've seen when he's played wing back. So
well, I mean, remember what happened against Arsenal? You brought him on for Cresswell, and we get completely picked apart on that side. I mean, he was pretty much culpable on all 3 goals. So
he was.
Yeah.
We were leading that match.
We had Arsenal dead to rights there. We should have, they were. You could just tell from their the way they were playing, they were done. They were cooked, and then suddenly, they came storming back, which was really unfortunate. If we could have seen that game out, boy, I think the whole season would be different at this point.
I think you could say that about a bunch of. That's certainly one of them. Yes, I think a 1-0 over Arsenal would have been massive for us at that point in the season. Absolutely massive.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering. I don't know. It's a good point about Masuaku. He's just such a liability right now. You hate to see him in there at all. Ngakia played against Liverpool when we played Liverpool at home, and he struggled, but he wasn't a disaster. He wasn't a disaster. And he's young, and I don't mind seeing some of the young players get blooded against these big Premier League clubs, especially if we do go down. They'll at least have had some Premier League experience where they're all in the Championship next season. I just don't have faith in Zabaleta's lack of pace and his lack of athleticism at this point. He's smart, but and he's a good leader on the pitch. But I mean, I see it being a total disaster with him back there, and I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
My only thought about Antonio was you sort of put him back there, like as the 5th at the back, maybe, and you push Zaba almost more towards the center. I don't know. I'm not sure that helps. I'm not sure that does anything.
Yeah.
Somebody said.
Does Liverpool? Is it Andy Robertson?
Yes, I believe so.
Is it Andy Robertson on the left back?
That sounds right.
Yeah. So, oh wow, yeah, he's such a great player.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're the best team in the world right now, right? They're the best.
Yeah.
And they've won Champions League. They're going to win the Premier League, walking away. I mean, it's extraordinary. They've given up 1 draw all season. There's never been another season like this. Even when Arsenal had that unbeaten season, they had like 12 draws or something like that.
Right.
Liverpool are going to win this thing. They might not drop a match at all. They're going to set a record for number of points. This is the best team in the world, and I hate to say it, it's probably one of the best teams the world's ever seen, period. I mean, frankly, if you look at what they're winning and how they're doing it. So, I mean, it may be a time for us to, put 10 men behind the ball, basically. What is your thought up front? I mean, is it risky if you put? Are we is a 4-4-2 too risky, or are we doing like a 5-3-2? We know with 1 up front we're absolutely not scoring. There's absolutely no way we're going to score. It won't happen. With 2 up front, it's a very slightly better chance. So, what do you guys think?
And it's tough because you put 1 up top. You put 1 up top and. Yeah, right. So you're saying but you put 1 up top though. It almost doesn't matter who it is because Virgil van Dijk is just going to have him in his pocket. Like I feel like you need to have 2 up top.
Very good point.
You need 2 up top because you have to have somebody that can pull Virgil out of position. So like if you've got a Bowen, somebody with pace, somebody that could potentially get behind the center backs, and we've seen part of Hilaire's game recently that he has done really well is holding up the ball. Where there is, he'll go up for a header. He just can never get it to somebody else because there is acres of space between him and the next viable player. So unless the dude's going to have some sort of magic header that's going to go 40 yards, nobody else on our team is going to pick it up. But if he has somebody that's running the channel, i.e. An Antonio or a Bowen, there's the potential for that. And even if we're not going to score, right? Like even if it is similar to the last time we played Liverpool where we were able to lump in some crosses, there were some good looks towards in that second half. It's just we couldn't finish. I mean, which has been kind of par for the course for us this season. But I think the potential's there, and I'm not saying the potential for us to win this game, but I think it's the potential for us to at least battle Liverpool. I hate watching us sit back and just capitulate to teams that Moyes views as out of our league.
Yeah,
Like, we're all in the same
I hate
stupid
that.
league. It boggles my mind that he views certain teams as unbeatable. And to me, that's a manager that's setting up to fail. Like he needs to be a tactician like he was at Everton, and he needs to look at this game and try to find a way to win. That's what a good manager does. And this is like we've talked about before. This is just damage control. And if we could sit here, the four of us goofballs and everybody in the chat room, and we could come up with better tactics, I mean, screw it, man. What you could have brought us in and spread the wealth across us. I'd love to be sitting pitch side for the rest of the season, even if we go down.
I think too, Liam, and you know, on one hand, I want to be a pragmatist about this, like David and Wally, because I do think after the results this weekend, keeping the score down is not the worst idea. On the other hand, the thing I worry about most with West Ham right now is that we have a loser mentality, and that there's a culture and a mentality around the club that is about losing and about not being good enough and about not trying when we don't think we can get a result. And that's never – I don't think West Ham have ever been like that, maybe in the Everton season. But I feel as though one of the problems – Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying it reminds me of Avram Grant. I think speaking to what Liam is saying, that I believe I heard it on the West Ham Fan TV, that against top 8 sides, David Moyes has not picked up a point in – I forgot if it was 14 or 24 matches – but I believe it was 24 matches. That was before Man City. So basically, I think the owners have made the calculation that we're not going to pick up the points against the big sides. But David Moyes is just going to drill the team and get them in shape enough that we'll pick up the necessary points against the lower ranked sides and barely survive. And I think that's a scary proposition. And I think – especially with this loser mentality we have right now. And I totally agree with you, Lee. We've dropped 19 points from winning positions. If you look at the body language of the team, it's not good. I think also us trying to brainstorm what the best lineup is. And we're all like, there really isn't a best lineup for Liverpool. That's going to take some work.
Yeah.
I think we just have to get steam and like a lineup we can trust and players we can trust. I think Liverpool, what happens may happen. I don't think we'll get a point. I think it'll be 2-0, 3-0, 3-1. Southampton at home just becomes extremely vital. We need to get at least a point.
Yeah,
the 3 points. But our next matches are Liverpool away, Southampton home, Arsenal away, Wolves home, and Spurs. We have to get a minimum of 4 points, I think, in those 4 matches, or else that negativity is just it's gonna spread, and we can't let that happen. Yeah. In my mind, Liverpool not gonna pick up points. Southampton either a point or 3 points.
Lucky to get one, because
then Arsenal, maybe we can get a point, even though they've been doing better. Wolves will probably lose. Then Spurs, anything can happen at Spurs because it's the Spurs match.
I agree.
Yep. That's what I'm looking at.
That's where we pick up 3.
I may have more faith in 3 points at Spurs than I do in any of those matches that are coming up, as weird as that sounds. Because as you said, anything can happen. We almost caught them at home when we lost 3-2. And we were dead to rights at 3-0, and we came back and scored. Declan very nearly had a third. So, anyway, so what would you do? What about our attacking options? Neil says play Bowen. Bowen is itching to go. He's raring to go. He is chomping at the bit, proverbial bit, as they say. Who do you play up top? How many do you play and who do you play? Do you play Bowen? Do you put him on the wing? Do you put him up top? Do you put him with Haller? Do you put him with Antonio? Do you put Haller out there at all? I mean, honestly, this is where I'm glad I don't get paid to manage West Ham. I don't know. Why don't we start with you, Wally? What would your thinking be as far as our attack if we're going to have such a thing? You're still on mute, by the way. There you go. Now you're back.
I was mixing a drink in the background. I didn't want to be distracted. So, anyway, I think that Moyes is going to be looking at Saturday's game against Southampton, and so he'll be, planning to use, maybe rest somebody, and then so he'll be looking towards Southampton. And so I don't, like you say, I'm not really sure what he's going to do up front, but Haller didn't play the last game, so maybe he'll be up front this game. Bowen didn't play, but if he's planning to use Bowen on Saturday, I don't know. But I think we'll see Haller at least, and maybe he'll be saving Antonio for Southampton.
I think the only problem with Haller is he can't play up top by himself, and I'm fearing that's what we're going to do is put him up top by himself. Yeah. David, what do you think?
First of all, I agree with Ken that it's a good time to play Spurs because all their forwards are injured, including Son Min. Just saw it in the comments. I agree with that. I'm going with the opinion that we have to try to start to build. So I would go with Antonio and Haller, and then Bowen off the bench. Bring him in no matter what the score is. With 10 to 15 minutes left, let him make his debut, get his feet set.
Well, he did come in.
I actually kind of see Wally too, that you don't want to tire Antonio out. You want him fit for Southampton, where you're hoping to pick up all 3 points. But I think we have to try to set a lineup that then we can employ against the sides we can beat. So I would go with Antonio and Haller up front, even with Antonio playing more wide and just stretching the field, and hope he doesn't get injured.
All right, that's fair. I mean, I think Haller has put out so little effort for us, but if you give him a strike partner, he's obviously going to be better off. And in a way, I'd like to see him against Liverpool because I don't think of him as a clutch player right now, but this is not a clutch match. This is a match where we're just trying to hang on. What's your take, Liam?
Strangely enough, he's our leading goal scorer.
Yeah,
Haller is our leading goal scorer. That's what's so crazy.
It's got
I think that's a
goals?
testament to how much he's been left.
Low
Leading
bar.
goal scorer with 6 goals.
That's a low bar.
6 goals. Doesn't Cresswell have 3?
I think Snotty has 5 and Cresswell has 3.
I'm just saying it is what it is.
No, that's true. I think Noble has that many this season on PKs, so I don't know. I think we're
At
good.
least 2. Yeah, you might have. I don't remember, but
He's got. I think he has 2 from the spot and 1 from the run of play. So
that sounds right. Yeah,
but
I'll
I mean, I don't know, man. It's tough because it's. I like what David's saying. I like the idea of building on something, especially if you do give these guys the run out and you go, look, this is probably going to be the hardest game you're going to play from now to the end of the season. So if you can weather this one, then think about how much easier it's going to be against Southampton because you've already built on the chemistry, you've already built on the connectivity that you've had during the Liverpool match. But you also have to wonder too is if running that team out and they get throttled, is this going to destroy their spirits going into Southampton and everybody goes in with their heads low? I mean, we've already talked ad nauseum about Mark Noble's change in attitude trying to deal with the effects of this season. I think it's probably hitting him more than anybody else on that team because for him it's a countdown, right? Where he's going to be 33, I think, this year in May. So, I mean, he's really coming down to his last couple seasons. I'm sure he does not want to spend his last season or 2 in the Championship. He wants to be in the Premier League. And it's sad to see him be so tormented by what's happening this season. But I mean, I think we could all say he's had a rough couple run of games. So I don't even know if on this match, if I run out Mark Noble. I wonder if maybe you do.
I don't think I would.
Yeah,
I don't think
maybe you play him off the bench, maybe, with 30 minutes, put him in at the 60-minute mark. So that way he can, inject a little bit of aggression into the match. And then you save him for Southampton. You save the Mark Noble, the starter Mark Noble, to be able to do a bit of damage, especially in a game like Southampton, which I think there's going to be a bit more of a battle. I think Liverpool, they'll dominate possession. They'll run us ragged on the wing. They'll shut us down in the wings, and they'll run us through the middle. So, I mean, I think there's only so much we're going to be able to do in that match. So I do think there is something to be said about looking ahead towards Southampton and to finish out the rest of the season. But if it's me, I'm probably going Haller, Antonio, Bowen at the top. In the top three, I'm playing a 4-3-3, and I'm playing Antonio if he's fit. If not, then you got to go with Noble, Rice, and Souček, and that's your midfield. So that's your top six, and your back four: Cresswell, Ogbonna. I got to go Diop because as much as he's had shakes, I feel like Balbuena is just prone to some boneheaded mistakes. And then Tim corrected me. It's Ngakia. Ngakia for I'd put honestly. He did well the last time. He did well the last time against Liverpool. Give him a run out for the start, and then pull Zabaleta in if you're trying to squeeze out the rest of the game. Because at that point, you can even drop Rice back into another center back position, and then that way you can really kind of sit back and protect the box.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's funny we debate all this, and which is why we're here. But it's not going to matter because it's going to be somebody up top by himself. It's going to be out there roaming around up top by himself, and it's going to be 10 men behind the ball, and and we're going to lose 2 or 3 goals. Everybody knows it's going to happen. It's so inevitable that I just want to skip to Monday afternoon and be done with it at this point. But yes, I appreciate what you're saying, Liam, and I think I would love 4-3-3 if we would set up that way. I would really love it against Southampton. Yeah. I think with Noble, you save him for Arsenal and Spurs coming up. Yeah. At a minimum, he starts those 2 games to me because that's the kind of thing where he's up for it. He loves the London derbies. He's going to have the team behind him. I think that's where you start. If you guys don't mind, let's jump over and do a Hammers poll. So Casey's not here, right? I didn't miss him, right? He's not here. Okay, I'm just making sure.
No, I don't think I ever talked to him.
Okay, all right. No. I want to leave him out if he's waiting or something, and he can't get in.
No, he's not. He's not backstage.
Okay, because I don't always. The StreamYard is a great system, but I don't always see when a 5th person is joined. No, it is seriously. I like StreamYard, but
same.
It's my computer. I can't always see down there at the bottom. It's not even my computer, it's my brother-in-law's computer, so I'll blame him. Katie says I sound like her. I'm not exactly sure what she's talking about, but that's pretty funny. By the way, Katie, thank you for ditching your friends at the dinner party to watch us, which I think you mentioned earlier. So,
if they were real friends, Katie, they'd be watching too. So you made the right choice.
That's right. You made the right choice. So this kind of leads into what this Hammers Pulse question is asking us here. It begins with if we were to survive this season, but honestly, I'm not sure it matters. If we were to survive this season, would it be time for a change of captaincy at the start of the next campaign? In other words, do we shift away from Mark Noble on a permanent to semi-permanent basis and move to somebody else? And if so, who would that be? Wally, do you want to start us?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Noble sort of indicated the other day where he said, you got to stop relying on just me. And I think that's a signal that he's maybe wants to take a lesser role and therefore not be the captain. And boy, if we stay up, then I think maybe Rice will still be around and it might be time for him to take the captaincy role. So I would go with Rice if we stay up. If we don't stay up, then I think, Rice is gone but Noble could still be captain.
It almost has to be Noble if we don't stay up, doesn't it? I
mean,
stays and not many other players do.
Yeah.
I don't know, David, what's your take on Mark Noble as captain going into the future?
I'm actually going to agree with Wally. I think he's expressed that he's a little tired. He's a little stressed out. I thought it was actually telling. I forget what match it was, but he was actually out of position, and Angelo Ogbonna said, "Oh, you're out of position," and was kind of calling him out, and he got very angry. Like, how could you question me? I'm the captain.
It might have been Brighton.
But Angelo Ogbonna was actually right in that instance.
Yeah, he was.
And what's also something I think about is there's been kind of a crisis under the manager with Slaven Bilic. There's been a crisis under the manager Manuel Pellegrini. Mark Noble has been the captain both times. I know things can collapse pretty quickly in a locker room, but he hasn't always kept the squad together as well as maybe he could have. I know he is Mr. West Ham. He's from the area. He's been doing it a long time. I would say you're kind of trapped into being him the captain, but maybe you would want eventually him to hand over the captaincy to Declan Rice, assuming he stays if we're in the championship.
That's yeah. I think if we're in the championship, I think obviously Declan's gone, and Noble's probably still captain. The only player I can see handing it to is Declan Rice. If we're in the Premier League, what do you think, Liam? What's your take on Noble?
I mean, it's tough, right? Because if it's not Rice, who else do you have?
I don't. Maybe that's
a
a relationship. So
Cresswell, you know what I mean? Like Antonio, like I don't know. Like it's tough because I'm trying not to slate the foreign players, but I haven't seen any of them come in and really try to take command, like be a presence. You look at Allaire, you look at even Fornals, I mean, there's nothing there that says future captain,
Who's Fornals?
Is he still on this team? Do we trade him? But you see what I'm saying is like I don't think there's not a clear succession, and unfortunately, I don't think Mark Noble is in the right mindset to groom somebody to take that position over. I mean, if Snodgrass was like 5 years younger, I would say Snodgrass because I think he has the fight. I think he has the passion. He loves the badge. But he's what, a year or two younger than Noble?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you needed to set up a captain for the future of this club. And I appreciate what Mark Noble has done. I mean, obviously. But I do think that there is going to be a time and place that we have to move on because you need the captain that can play 90 minutes. You need the captain that can be there week in, week out, game in, game out, cup match, league match, doesn't matter. He needs to be the presence. I mean, Richard was saying Fabianski. I like the idea of that as a captain, but
I hate having the keeper as captain. I'm sorry.
I'm with you. I think that a keeper is always a captain in their own regard, right? Because they have to captain that back line. They have to be a marshal of the back line. But they're not going to be able to shout directions to the forward. It's just it's not feasible
and they're not involved physically with the other players.
No
altercation. He's not going to come rushing out of the goal 30 yards pitch to be part of it or to get into it. You got to have somebody who's going to physically get in the way.
And especially in that instance, say he does run that 30 yards and gets in a ref's face or gets in somebody's faces and he gets ejected. Really? You want your starting goalkeeper to get sent off and then miss the next match too? Like you can't set yourself up for that kind of issue. I mean, we would because we're West Ham, but for me, I love Mark Noble, but I do think this is probably the last year I want to see him consistently as the captain. I don't mind if he would come in and captain games here or there. If we were to stay up, I think if we drop, I think he's got to be the captain because that's probably going to be his last season.
Yeah, I think if we drop, there's really nobody else. Everybody else leaves. He's the only one left. Then maybe a Snodgrass stays with us. Maybe an Ogbonna maybe stays with us. But I think the only captain material left is Noble. So here's another one that we all hate to think about. But, suppose we stay up. If we go down, it's academic because he's going to be gone for a lot smaller price tag. But if we stay up, do you take $90 million? That's a lot of money. Do you take $90 million for Declan Rice? And let me just add this little caveat. Do you trust the board to spend it wisely if we take it? Let's go back. Liam, once you start this time, we'll go back down the chain.
Yes and no. I absolutely take $90 million because you think of what you can buy for $90 million. You think of the type of striker that you can get. You can shore up the back line. You can get, I don't know, a right back. How exciting would that be? I think there's absolutely the potential for us to be able to strengthen this squad because when you really look at the teams that are not your oil money, right? When you look at the teams like the like your Wolves, like your Sheffield Uniteds, like these are teams that were built with a purpose in mind. These were teams that were built, that were constructed in a way that they can have a drop off here or there where there's a player injured or a player out, for whatever reason, and they have a solid backup for that. We had we had that when we started the season, right? When we still had Yarmolenko, we still had Wilshere, and we were all, gung-ho about how this was going to go, forgetting that we are West Ham United and that we absolutely are injury prone consistently. So, I mean, I think you sell Declan Rice, you reinvest that 90 million, you actually shore up this team. Do I believe the board has the intelligence and the capability to bring in star quality players? No, not even a little bit. They have shown that they will wait till absolutely down on the wire to try to get sneaky deals in and try to sit everybody on a loan. It's not good business. It's how we're going to set ourselves up to be left with literally Aaron Cresswell and Pablo Zabaleta as the only remaining players on this team. So I almost wouldn't sell Rice for that reason, just because the board will spend the money like idiots.
No, I get that, and that's kind of where I am too. What do you think, David?
If there was different ownership, I would think it would be a great time to sell Declan Rice, to recoup your 90 million. But as they have proven, they haven't been able to spend it wisely. I think the story of this year's team has been lack of depth. I think you had Sebastian Haller as your main striker. You had no one to support him. You only had Ajeti as the only other true striker. We were desperately lacking in central midfield, other than Declan Rice, with Mark Noble, Carlos Sanchez, and Robert Snodgrass. That's really light on pace. Fullback, I think, is weak. Fullback, I think, was very weak to start. I think there's actually so much cracks in the team that 90 million wouldn't be enough to paper it over. So if it was another team, I would say yes, do it. I would say this team, no, it wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah, light on pace. I need you to start coming up for euphemisms for my kids that I could use, so I could find more polite ways to call them. You know what I mean? Light on pace is an extremely polite phrase to use. Yeah. So I appreciate that. Wally, what would you do?
Oh, in a heartbeat, I would sell him for that amount. Except, like everybody's saying, I don't trust the board with that much money. They will just come up with some crazy, last minute deals and I thought coming into this season the business they had done was looking really good, but here we are in relegation zone, so I just can't trust them at all. So unfortunately, even though financially I think it would be smart with this board, I would say no.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where I am. That's a gigantic amount of money for a young player. I do think he's a great player. He's an England international. We all know who he is. But was he 21 now?
Yeah.
21.
21, yeah, 21 or 22, but I believe 21.
I mean, to me, there would be two things, and I don't think either of these things would ever happen. But first of all, I would sell him outside of England. I would sell him to Spain or someplace like that, which I know that won't ever happen because it'll be another English club that'll buy him. But I would love to sell him outside of the Premier League so that we wouldn't have to face him. No, I'm serious, and then we wouldn't have.
Dude, you're 100% right. Because look at Chianti. We sell him to Crystal Palace, and his first goal is against us. Come on, man.
It always happens. I mean, listen, you go right on down the list for over the years. Frank Lampard, Rio Ferdinand, Joe Cole, Paul Ince. I mean, all these guys have come back and over and over again, they've smoked us over and over and over again, from some other English club. And that back then we sold them for the money, and I get that. And it'd be the same thing with Rice, frankly,
I like how you conveniently left out Scott Parker, dude. Come on. You got to own that.
Well, Scott Parker was involved. First of all, he was 3-time Hammer of the Year. Secondly, he did briefly go down with us before we sold him. For sure.
We had to. There was no choice. We had to sell him.
And he was not, and frankly, he was a little past his prime. How many more seasons did he play in the Premier League after we sold him? 2? I think so. It wasn't a lot.
It was one at Spurs. It was one, and then he went down with Fulham or something. But I forget.
Yeah, I think so.
One at Spurs and 1-2 with Fulham, and so, don't mess with me about Scotty Parker. You know better than to do that.
I love Scotty Parker.
I had to, man. You conveniently left him off, so I was I gotta throw him in.
There was nothing convenient about it. It was totally intentional. I left him off. I love Scott Parker.
Of course. Of course.
Martin Peters also went to Spurs, and Bobby Moore tried to transfer there twice. So
That's true.
Anyway, seriously though, I think if we stay in the Prem, the only reason I keep Declan is because I don't trust the board to spend the money.
No.
I'm with what everybody said. I don't trust him to spend the money. It feels like a huge amount of money for a young player who, God forbid, could do his ACL, at any point and never be the same again. You never know, but I wouldn't trust the board to spend the money. That's what it comes down to. So if we stay up, plus he really seems to like West Ham and like playing for West Ham. He really and he's kind of I don't know. He's a good presence to have around. So many players who are so moping around right now, not putting out any effort. He always puts out effort. So
it was interesting though. Like he recently had done one of the videos, and they were doing an interview with him talking about like some of his favorite moments in football and like the players that he looked up to the most. He said like John Terry was like a player that he looked up to the most.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just like every single, and I get it, right? Like the kid came up.
Cool. Yeah,
the kid came up through Chelsea. Like I understand, like he's gonna look to Chelsea people, but he's talking about like greatest goal scorer of all time. He's talking about like Didier Drogba. He's talking about like his icon, like the player that he most tries to emulate. It's John Terry, and I'm like, for F's sake, dude! Like seriously, like while you're sitting there in a West Ham kit, like this is what you're talking about. So
say that while you're at West Ham. I mean, John Terry, man, that's
of all people. I was like, really? All right, cool, man.
The player I hate the most.
I believe though he grew up in the geographical rooting area of Chelsea. I saw some special on him. That's the geographical area where he actually grew up. So
yeah, no, he grew up a Chelsea fan. Like he talks about, like he grew up a Chelsea fan. He grew up.
He's 21. He hasn't even grown up yet. He's 21. How do you grow up a Chelsea fan? You're only 20 when you join West Ham when you're 20. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Well, he was in the Chelsea academy, but they tossed him out, right?
Yeah, at like 14.
Well, my point is, he's not even grown up yet. He's still like he can barely drink legally in this country, which is kind of ridiculous. But that's another discussion altogether. I get it. That you can't say John Terry, man. That is hard.
Ah, it hurt me. And Neil, you're always young.
Outside Chelsea.
That is so bad. Oh, it's devastating. I wish you hadn't told me that, actually.
You're like, now I'll sell him for half price.
All right. I think that's pretty good for our Hammers Polls stuff. And we've talked a lot about Liverpool. So let's skip ahead a little bit, if you guys don't mind, and let's talk about for the last 10 minutes or so, the protest against Southampton that's coming up on the 29th. Leap Day. Williams.
There's going to be a protest at Liverpool too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You know what? Let's talk about that first. It's a good idea, David. It's a better idea.
Yeah.
So we talked about this on the show previously. I don't think any of you were here, so we'll get your takes on it. Maybe Liam, you might have been. I don't remember. Anyway, so we're having Liverpool supporters hold up a GSP Out banner in exchange for a food bank donation or something, which is that's nice for us to give it to the food bank in Liverpool. So we're having them hold up a banner. I still find that weird, really strange. I'm not sure.
And we're going to let off black balloons. So the our away end is going to let off black balloons.
And we're going to let off black balloons. Just, just freelance for me if you would, you guys. And whoever wants to jump in first can jump in. Give me your thoughts on that. I think it's weird. I think it's super weird. That's all the only real word I had for it. Really.
What, the black balloons? You think that's weird?
Yes.
Weird?
Away to Liverpool? That's somebody.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you got to figure it's nice. Yeah, Ken. Heck yeah, Ken. No, but
Ken knows. He knows. Yeah.
I believe it. John Terry. Let's spend the last 10 minutes talking about John Terry's mom.
Let's talk about well, yeah.
Oh, no.
Wait, John Terry.
I was going to say I don't find it weird just because I'm half Italian. My mom is from Italy, and we kind of have this fan culture idea that the supporters are the 12th man. Soccer is nothing. Football, or whatever you want to call it, is nothing without the supporters, and they're always heavily involved. So to me, it's a classy story when supporters who typically don't like each other. There's typically been enmity between Liverpool and West Ham fans. So for them to come together to deliver a message that's pro-supporter, that doesn't feel weird to me. That feels good to me. That's like a good story to me.
A lot of people,
I think this is a reaction to how stale the stadium is, the stale atmosphere. So many of the supporters are looking for something to connect with, and this is something to connect with.
But it's at Anfield. It's not at our ground.
Yeah. Wait, isn't that?
That's why it's weird.
But that's what's cool. You're winning over supporters who you usually had energy with.
So you're saying like if we did it
We
at
had to like
home,
humble
no big
ourselves
deal.
them into doing it.
I think at home
What?
it's total sense. I think at home it makes complete total sense. But I think it's weird.
But I think that's where we run into.
Why would we worry about where it was?
Yeah, and you also have to think it's because GSB are so egotistical, right? Where like they're banning people right and left till the end of the season, like the Cameron waving the flag at the on the side wearing a GSB out shirt.
I'm 100% GSB out. Just to make it clear. Anyway,
no, 100. Agreed. But I think that's the thing is that we can't make a profound statement within the stadium that is going to be something that will be televised. This is a game that should be televised. This is a game that will have a bit of notoriety to it, and to see that does send a much more profound message. And I love what Hammers. I love what Hammers United is doing outside of the ground. But there does have to be something that happens inside to showcase that there is more happening at this club than what Sullivan, Gold, and Brady want the media to believe. The fact that they sued Sky because Sky, criticized them for being crappy owners. Like this is an extension of that this allows our supporters to be able to speak out and to make a statement that the media cannot ignore.
Well, the fact that it's a TV match, the fact that it's Liverpool.
Yeah, so we're in agreement.
I mean, that does.
Yes.
And we'll probably get tonked. So we'll have the banner, we'll have the balloons, and we'll go out and lose 3 or 4-0. So we'll look bad. I mean, the team will look bad. I mean, there is something to that. I don't know, Wally, you have a take on this?
Well, I'm just thinking if the supporters are willing to help us out and hold up GSB out flags, why can't Klopp help us out and play his youth team?
He's going to help us get the board sacked. He's going to help us get the board sacked by tonking us like 5-0. That's what he's going to do.
Oh, okay, great.
And that's how he's helping us. You see, that's.
Right.
I was hoping we'd see that from Manchester City if they would pull a Chelsea and they would put out kind of a second 11. But
You know what was funny though? I don't know if you guys were like on Twitter right after the game and whatnot, but I saw multiple tweets from City fans that were like, I'm so glad that we only put 2 past West Ham because they're the other club that I love. Like literally, like all these fans are just like, I didn't want to trounce them like we did at the start of the season. Like I'm glad that it was close. Blah blah blah. Like I thought it was super classy. The fans like to sit there and be like, hey, you know what, West Ham, you guys are good. We're cut from the same cloth. We feel your pain, West Ham. We used to be relegation fodder all the time.
The thing is, it's true. If they're they do. The Man City fans who go back far enough really do feel our pain because they were down in League One or the third division, what it was called at the time, 10, 12 years ago. They were down in the third division, the third flight.
Yeah.
I mean, before the buyout, those fans were very much like West Ham fans.
And that was only, 10 years ago or so? It was like 2008, something like that? Because it was...
Oh, it wasn't that long ago. I mean...
Because when did they move from Main Road? What year was that?
I don't remember.
Was that 12? Was that 2012 though?
It may have been. Honestly, I don't remember their history all that well, but I do know. The specific years escape me, but I do know that they've always been the number 2 team in Manchester. There's no question about that.
For sure.
They had Liverpool and Manchester United as their neighbors, winning European Cups and Champions League trophies and Premier League trophies for many, many years. They went down to the second division, third division. I don't know if it was called the championship at the time, whatever it was. Anyway, point being, they are a lot like us. It's true. It's a weirdly patronizing in a way. I kind of hate it in a sense. Because, it's a little like they're patting us on the head and saying,
they're there. You'll be us someday. Keep your chin up, lad.
Yes, exactly. Chin up, lads, and I hate that.
Yeah.
However,
I thought it was funny though. I legitimately had a chuckle.
I appreciate the sentiment, and of all of the fans of top 6 clubs, they're the ones who are old enough to remember the bad days. They're the ones easiest to like, by far. To me, by far.
Yeah.
Because I do think they went through basically a lot of what we went through, and then they got the money, and we haven't gotten it yet. And that they know that's the only difference.
Yeah.
They know that. They're not,
once we get that energy drink money, ooh.
Oh, you mean the energy drink that doesn't exist and isn't actually for sale anywhere?
No, not that one. I'm talking about the
Oh, you mean Red Bull?
the other one.
Oh,
the Red Bull.
I thought you meant David Sullivan's energy.
No, Rich Energy.
Rich Energy. What's that even? Rich Energy. I don't know.
The owner of the company that was trash talking Sullivan until Sullivan became a majority share owner. Yeah, big surprise.
Right, exactly. And then they came out on Twitter and said, Sullivan, Brady, and Colt are doing a great job with West Ham.
Yeah, they're fantastic. And any videos that were showing otherwise is completely taken out of context.
You know who these guys
buddy.
are? They're the Soviets. They're so bad at propaganda.
Well,
Propaganda is so good. And
that's why he's always in a freaking Russian hat.
He's a Soviet apparatchik. I mean,
Yeah.
propaganda is the best in the world. It's fantastic because it's generally fairly subtle. Not so much in the last couple of years, but over the years, it's generally been fairly subtle. And it's kind of, it works its way into people's minds. Soviet propaganda is, no pun intended, it's a hammer on top of your head, right? Or it was,
No.
It was a
Browbeat.
heavy,
Browbeat.
like back. And that's how they are. And they have no sense of subtlety. They have no, they are absolute like Soviet propagandists. They buy Rich Energy, and Rich Energy comes out and says, "Oh yeah, I think everything's wonderful with you guys." It's
So
great.
bad.
Comes here.
It
Wow.
is so bad.
It's just so embarrassing. It's the beyond everything else to me, beyond all the failures that they've obviously caused. They're just so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing to even in this country to go to work every day and to have a West Ham flag in my cube and to wear West Ham, memorabilia and just have people just be like, I feel so sorry for you.
They just pat you on the back as they walk by.
Yeah,
You're like,
they
I'm gonna call HR. Stop touching me.
They shake their heads. They shake
Wow.
their head. They just, So anyway, that's where we are. So I guess you're right. You guys, I understand it's a televised match. And again, we probably will get tonked. So, Neil is right about this.
I saw that. Yeah.
The 10-year-old wrote a letter to Klopp saying, "Please stop destroying Manchester United." And he was like, in the nicest way possible, like, "Get bent, kid." But Klopp is a class guy, and I've liked him long before he went to Liverpool, or since long before he went to Liverpool. So I have to say, it was not he wrote him back, and that was a cool thing to do. That's
No.
But they won't take it easy on us. And we are everybody's second team, which, again, we wouldn't be if we were any good. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
This is – Ken and I were talking about this the other day. Now, when we went to the Bowl-In about 10 years ago, there was this talk of an American consortium buying the club, and we can't remember who it was. And this is right before Gold Sullivan and Brady bought it, or maybe right after they bought it. I can't remember, but right around 10 years ago. And I'm trying to think of who it was. And we were having this discussion, and it was a group, or because we kept joking that we were going to go to the match and say we were from this group, to scout out the club. I know about Trip Smith. It wasn't Trip Smith. Anyway, I don't know if you guys can think of it. Let us know. If not a big deal. Here you go. Here's Neil talking about our buddy Trip Smith. He must be something Smith III. Albert. Well, there you go. Albert Smith III. He must be Trip, standing for triple.
What an annoying name.
I've got to tell you, I've got a cousin in Houston, actually, who's got a son named Trip, and I'm sure he's a sweet kid. Every other trip, every other trip I've known has been a total douchebag. I'm sorry. I'm sure.
Okay.
Not in my experience. Yeah, he's got 10%. I think he does. That's true. All right. Anyway, so why don't we just spend the last couple of minutes and talk about just how bad it's going to get, the way we always do, without knowing any starting 11s or anything like that, or who's available, who's not. Let's give a score prediction for Liverpool, just out of the blue. Wally, you've been quiet for a while. Sorry about that. Why don't you?
He's drunk.
Yeah, Wally doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's in New Orleans. This is at Mardi Gras.
He's faded.
It's really matter to him. Why don't you give us a feel for what you think is going to happen?
Well, I'm thinking that it's going to be the same sort of like Man City, where Man City was in control the whole game, and once they put in a goal or two, they'll just kind of call off the dogs and take it easy on us. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 to Liverpool.
It's probably the best case scenario, honestly.
Yeah.
David, what do you think?
Hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion as Wally. Although I want us to go 2 up top, we'll probably go 1 lone striker.
Yep.
I don't think we'll look like we lack energy. We'll defend well, but in the end, they'll be too much for us, and I predict a 3-0.
Liam, what do you think?
I think 7-1 to the Hammers. I think we absolutely dominate.
Awesome.
Yeah. No. Honestly, I think this one we do nick a goal out of it. I think we still lose 2-1. But I do think we actually get I think we actually do get a goal out of this match. I think we're due for one, and I honestly I feel like we need to hit the back of the net to gain some sort of momentum heading into Southampton. For me, I'd love to see Bowen coming off the bench and be the one to bang it in, because I think it would be it'd be proving for Moyes, for him to go, okay, maybe this kid is ready. I should start playing him with more frequency. It'd be a great confidence boost for him. Like, yeah, he can bang in goals in the Championship, but let him do it in the Premier League. And I think that'll carry us into the next game. And I looked it up. It was the Intermarket Group, which was headed by Wall Street mogul Jim Bowe out of New York.
The Intermarket.
Nice.
Okay, that's what we said, is we were there from the Intermarket Group, and nobody found it funny. But anyway, I thought it was funny.
But yeah,
all right. So, but they're obviously not in the picture anymore.
No,
I guess not. Okay, appreciate you doing that. That's very nice. I think what happens is it is 0-0 going into injury time. Bowen scores, but VAR reviews it and says that the ball grazed his fingernail right on the way in. So so it's disallowed, and then 30 seconds later, 14 minutes into injury time, Liverpool score, but the goal is originally not allowed, and VAR overturns it and gives it to Liverpool, and they win 1-0. That's how it's going to work. That's what's going to happen.
I know. I should have did a caveat. Both of Liverpool's goals will come via VAR. Like, they won't actually score a goal on their own. VAR, the computer itself will walk out onto the field, will pick up the ball and carry it into the net for them. Just to make sure that we're super pissed.
Like that little robot from Buck Rogers. Beep, 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 beep. It's gonna
honestly, and he's just running like this, but it's okay if it touches his hands. He's a robot. It's fine.
Right, that's true. Did you guys see the clip? Oh, this is an amazing clip. I wish I had found it. I'll never find it. I'll try to find it and repost it. It was a game, I think, in Argentina, and there was this spectacular miss. This striker makes this incredible miss, and then another striker hits it. This keeper makes this fantastic save, and it comes out, and a guy hits the ball a third time, and it's going into an empty net. But then a dog runs past, and knocks the ball away. So
I think I've seen that. Yeah,
it's amazing. That's what'll happen to us. There'll be something
I could see it be a bird, like a bird swoops in and the ball just nails it. Remember
when Randy killed the bird?
Yes, Randy Johnson was gonna say, who's the pitcher that just annihilated? You see the explosion of feathers.
Or there was an early Old American Football League game many years ago, and I believe it was between the Dallas Texans and the Patriots, which means it was like the early 60s. And the Pats had a guy, like a fan, sneak down into the end zone during a play, and like take out one of the Texans players.
Nice.
And they complete a touchdown pass to win the game, because this guy, like an overcoated top hat, just went and played, And,
awesome.
It'll be something like that'll happen. We will hold them. We'll have this fantastic, we're going to nick a point from Anfield, and then there'll be a VAR decision or a dog, or somebody will run onto the pitch, or it's going to be something like that. It's going to be something like that, because it would be too easy for us to just lose 3-0. It's got to be more painful and controversial than that.
But what if it goes the complete opposite, and all of that kind of stuff happens to Liverpool, and it's just a comedy of errors, and we end up winning 4-0, because it's just Allison goes to do a goal kick, and it bounces off one of his defenders and goes over his head back into the goal. I'm just thinking, how great would it be if it was just that comedy?
If Allison pulls a Fabianski and smacks the ball off the back of his defender's head.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Just like Monty Python's Flying Circus, just comedy of errors. That's what I'm hoping for.
With the Benny Hill music?
Yes, absolutely. Because what was it? Wasn't it Trent Arnold? What's his name? Trent Arnold Alexander. Where he goes to kick the ball and it happens to go off the post. But what if he hits it wrong and it went in? Those are the kind of things I'm hoping for.
It's going to have to be something like that. It's going to have to be a bizarre circumstance for us to be able to get it. Tebow thinks we're getting something out of this game. I love his optimism.
I want to back him, man. I want to back him. I want Snotty to hit a screamer from 40 yards. And it's just top bins.
I do too. And I want it to happen. I want it to happen in like the 97th minute. You know what I mean? Like the injury time. And so we can celebrate, and then the next kick, and it's over anyway. It's not going to happen. We'll lose like 3-0, but whatever. We move on. You guys know how this goes. It's Liverpool. Listen, my former boss was a Liverpool fan, and he was a really good guy, and I liked him a lot. But I'm really glad he's not with the company anymore because I don't think I could have taken it this season.
You can't suffer through that.
It's too much. It's too much. Great guy, but it's too much. Anyway.
And I wanted to pull this one up too, Arthur Darien. I like this idea. This is from Glenn Waverley in Victoria, Australia. But that win against Wigan Athletic, I could actually really see that happening this season because our last match isn't it Aston Villa at home? So I could totally see that being
Aston Villa at home.
Yeah. So I could definitely see like that being the decider. Like whoever wins that game stays up. I actually, as much as I don't want that to be, I'd love us to be far more safe. You can't deny the excitement of that kind of a match.
I remember that Wigan game. Now that was
yeah.
That was Zola's. That was because
as I recall, there was a Scott Parker free kick in that match. Speaking of Scotty Parker,
and if I'm not mistaken, I think Jonathan Spector scored it.
Yep. Yeah.
He scored an own goal in the game we had to win to keep us up.
Yeah.
But then Parker did score, and it might have been a free kick. And I remember him peeling away and celebrating
before it even went in.
That was happened a few months after Ken and I went to the Berlin. That was that season. That was Zola's last season. We stayed up on 35 points that season. Yes, it was the result of the season. It was the last game of the season, or very close to it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys.
It wasn't the last game, but it was close to it.
It was down to the wire.
I also think Monty had a big free kick against Bolton too that season.
That's
out.
Right.
I could be flipping the matches.
I could too, but it was very, very late in the season. It was in May, or mid-May. But I do remember that it was Zola's last season. We set up on 35 points, and then we were very smart and got rid of Zola and brought in an experienced manager who had been in the Champions League final a couple of seasons before, and that went really well.
It went amazingly well. That helped us out so much.
We lost it because John Terry slipped. I don't know if you remember that.
Man,
John Terry slipped in
my favorite
which cost Abraham Grant the championship.
One of my favorite non-West Ham moments in football history was John Terry slipping. I don't care if it was Manchester United winning the Champions League. It was so beautiful.
Hilarious.
It was fantastic. Then they won it. Chelsea, I think, won it 2 seasons later on the day we won the playoff final. But at the time, they'd never won it, and they flipped it.
Yeah.
As though maybe they'd never win it, and those were great days. But anyway, yeah.
Is that when Steven Gerrard slipped, or maybe that was another match? Yeah.
Steven Gerrard slipped. They lost the Premier League because he slipped against Palace, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they gave up a late goal, late in the season, and they ended up
so probably
Chelsea or somebody like that. Yeah, here we go. Arthur remembers. Scott Parker. Yeah. I told you. Anyway.
Yeah.
He did. He won it with a goal. And that was and I have a feeling too. I think it is going to come down to Villa, and I think it's going to be absolute murder. That last match is going to be complete and total torture. The lead up to it is going to be worse than anything I've ever experienced, at least since Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals in 2011, which I was so nervous for that game. I was physically ill. If it happens again, it's going to be the same way. It's going to be total murder and a nightmare. But at least we'll have a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're saying there's a chance?
That's what I'm saying. I'd rather have a chance. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is what I'm saying. All right. Anything you guys want to wrap up with? Because I think tomorrow school starts again for the boys. I got to make the boys lunches as always. Got to make my own lunch. Got to do all that stuff for Monday morning. So if you're all good, then David, my neighbor in Boston, Liam in Fresno, and Wally of the city of brotherly love, currently in the much more fun city of, I don't know, drunken love.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yep.
That sounds
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Big easy.
Everybody in the chat room, Arthur, who I don't know that I've seen you here before, but welcome. Tebow, Ken, Gabe was here earlier. I like
Ken's comments personally.
Katie, my fellow.
Katie, Katie, who's also from Philly, a friend who's been on the show with us before. Gosh, there've been a lot of people on tonight, and it's been great.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of fun. I really thank you guys all for being on. It was great. It was a lot of fun. You really perked me up. I mentioned before the show started that my 6-year-old just barfed all over the bedroom floor right before the show. So don't worry, he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. It just was a little bit of a rough night. So anyway, this was a great way to end the evening and the weekend.
Lee,
So.
I've seen plenty of that all over the streets here. So
You know what? We should have taken him down there.
I was gonna say, man, like maybe 6 is a little bit too young to drink.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, right.
He's a West Ham fan.
I'll just say,
I get him started early, so yeah.
it's how he's coping. That's the only way he copes this thing.
That's how you learn, son. That's how you learn.
I like it.
Anyway, so thank you guys for being here. And tomorrow night, I think there's usually a show at 8 o'clock.
Thank you, Lee.
Hey, anytime. And until we meet again, I say,
Come on, you eyes.
All right.
be